Welcome back to week 79 of Scott's Reading Sports Day, ladies and gentlemen. I may be a few weeks off on that. I'll check again and then I'll leave that one in the comments section down below if I got it wrong. And it is finally time for some NCAA tournament basketball. The predictions are in. The brackets have been set last Sunday as we will head in to the NCAA tournament starting tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon on CBS, True TV, TNT, TBS, respectively. Let's get into those predictions right now. So the first game out will be tomorrow. The first up will be Friday night games. First up will be number one overall seed in the tournament, Duke, taking on the winner of tonight's North Dakota State and North Carolina Central matchup. It doesn't really matter who wins the game tonight. I will be taking Zion and Duke to get by either North Dakota State or North Carolina Central. Whoever wins that game tonight, have fun only staying for one round because you'll be out of there on Friday. Duke rolls over whoever wins tonight's matchup.
I'm not sure I can make this pick yet because it's going to depend for me on who wins between North Dakota State and North Carolina Central.
Easy.
I'm just kidding. Duke's going to roll either team. Duke's probably the best team in the tournament. Duke wins this game.
Next up in the 8-9 matchup over there in the East region, the top right-hand side of your bracket, it will be the number 8 seed VCU heading in to Columbia to take on the number 9 ranked UCF Knights coming into the tournament. A little bit slow. They lost their last 2 games in a row, but I think UCF's going to find a way to get out of this first round here. UCF's going to find a way. I think Taco Fall, BJ Taylor, Aubrey Dawkins, and company are going to find a way to get the win for UCF against VCU and give me my first upset of the tournament in the 8-9 matchup.
I think this shirt says it all. UCF gets the win against VCU, but a very close game, less than 5 points.
Next up, number 5 seed Mississippi State coming out of the SEC, going against the number 12 seed Liberty Flames. I'm going to take my first upset of the tournament right here, my first legitimate upset. Liberty upsets Mississippi State tomorrow. I think Liberty's been playing very well. I saw them playing their conference tournament. Looked really good. I'll take the Flames and Liberty to upset the number 5 seed Mississippi State on Thursday night.
I don't agree. I think the Flames are going to flame out here. I think Mississippi State, part of the SEC, one of the best basketball conferences in America this year. I think Mississippi State gets the win.
Next up, Buzz Williams and his Virginia Tech Hokies head into the tournament to take on the number 13 seed St. Louis Billikens. I will go with the Hokies of Virginia Tech to get in. St. Louis had to have a big comeback win last Sunday to get here. So I'm going to take Virginia Tech to get a win over St. Louis on Sunday, tomorrow. Either tomorrow or Friday. I'll take Virginia Tech over St. Louis in the first round.
I agree. I think the ACC was the best conference in basketball this year, and Virginia Tech played Florida State very, very tough, who went on to the finals. I like Virginia Tech to win this game.
Next up, number 6 seed Maryland heading in to take on the 11th seed at Belmont Bruins. Let me change that on my bracket because I have Maryland picked, but I'm going to change that now. I think Belmont's going to pull off the upset. Belmont looked good last night against Temple, so I'll take Belmont to pull off the upset in the 6-11 and upset Maryland and send them packing after one game.
This is my first upset pick of the game of the tournament. I'm going to go with Belmont as well. Historically, the 11th seed who wins that first game gets momentum. They play less tight in that game number 2. I think Belmont's going to beat Maryland in this in an upset.
Next up, LSU is still without their head coach, Will Wade, as they head in to the NCAA tournament to take on the Ivy League champions, the Yale Bulldogs. Yale's just focused on their smarts, so I'll take LSU to get by Yale in the first round. Without their head coach, Will Wade, I feel like they'll find a way to get a win over Yale on Thursday or Friday.
This was based upon the highest SAT scores. Yale wins big, but it's not. LSU's got some beasts down low. I think LSU's going to win this one by at least 10.
Next up, the 7-10 matchup in the East region as number 7 Louisville heads into the tournament to take on, ironically, Richard Pitino and Minnesota. I'm going to take the Gophers to pull off the 7-10 upset. Minnesota's played well in the Big Ten. I'm going to take Richard Pitino and the Minnesota Gophers to get by his old man's team and get past Louisville in the first round.
This is a tough one to pick. I can go either way in this one, but I'm going to take Louisville playing in a better conference. I think Louisville's going to win this one.
Next up, number 2 seed. I don't agree with this. They should have been a 1 seed in my opinion. Michigan State, they head in to the tournament to take on the Bradley Braves in the first round. Great to see Bradley in the tournament for the first time in a long time, but I feel like it'll be a short stint this year for him. I'll take Michigan State and Tom Izzo to get past the first round again. Izzo usually never loses in the first round until I have them winning the national championship. I'll take Michigan State in the first round to get past Bradley in the first round.
I agree. Michigan State doesn't win pretty, but they win. They win this game by probably 10 points.
Next up into the West region of the bracket, as number 1 seed Gonzaga heads into the tournament with only 2 losses on their schedule, losing in the conference championship game, which nobody saw coming last weekend, as they head in to take on last night's winner in the 16th, Fairleigh Dickinson. I will take the Gonzaga Bulldogs to pull it off against Jim Rome's beloved Fairleigh Dickinson team. I'll take Gonzaga to pull off a win and move on to round 2 on Saturday and Sunday against Fairleigh Dickinson tomorrow or Friday.
Gonzaga versus Fairleigh Dickinson. This should be a fairly easy win. See what I did there? Fairly easy win. Gonzaga, I think, actually should be a 2 seed, but they will take care of Fairleigh Dickinson.
Next up in the 8-9 matchup, it'll be Jim Boeheim and his number 8 seed Syracuse University Orange heading in to take on the number 9 seed out west, the Baylor Bears. Baylor's been injured all year, and then those injuries are going to come back to bite them in the butt here. I'll take the Orange of Syracuse to get by and move into the second round of the NCAA tournament with Jim Boeheim, one of the best coaches in college basketball. I'll take Syracuse over Baylor in the first round.
That 2-3 zone that Syracuse plays is hard to beat in a one-game situation. I like Syracuse to win this one.
And probably the most intriguing matchup of the first round, in my opinion, in the West region. It'll be number 5 ranked Marquette, led by Marcus Howard, who's had a very nice season, as they head in to take on the most talked about player in the NCAA tournament this year, the number 12 seed Murray State Racers, led by possible top 5 NBA draft pick this year, John Morant. I will take Murray State to pull off the upset. The John Morant show will continue, and I will take Murray State to upset Belmont, to upset Marquette on tomorrow. I will take Murray State over Marquette.
I think Ja's going to get his points, but I think Marquette is actually going to win this one. It's going to be a really close game, and Ja's going to be very exciting, but I think Marquette's going to win this one.
Next up, the number 3 seed Florida State heading into the tournament, taking on one of my old teachers and favorite teams, the Vermont Catamounts, coming into the tournament, looking very good. Should have gotten in last year. They lost to, I believe they lost to UMBC last year in the conference championship game. Nothing to be said about that.
Virginia. Yeah.
Yep. I'll take Florida State to upset. I'll take Florida State to stay alive and beat Vermont on tomorrow. I'll take the Noles to move on to round 2 against Vermont.
I think Florida State is one of the most athletic teams in this tournament. I think Florida State, with their athleticism, gets by Vermont in a fairly easy victory.
Next up, Buffalo heading into the tournament as a 6 seed, heading in to take on the winner of tonight's 11 seed matchup between Arizona State and St. John's. I think Arizona State will win that game, and then I think Arizona State will pull off the upset and upset number 6 Buffalo. I will take the Arizona State Sun Devils to get by the Buffalo Bulls in this round. I feel like ASU's got a good team this year. If they win tonight, I feel like they're safe. They'll probably get by Buffalo. I'll take the Sun Devils to get by Buffalo tonight. From my buddy Clintus, I'll take the Devils to get past the Buffalo Bulls tomorrow or Friday.
Whoever wins tonight, I think, is going to lose to Buffalo. Buffalo's played in a weak conference, but they've only lost 3 games all year. They've made me a believer. I think Buffalo gets the win here.
Next up, number 3 seed Texas Tech coming into the tournament. It's probably the best defense in college basketball this season, as they head in to take on number 14 ranked Northern Kentucky in for the 2nd straight year. Last year they got knocked out in the first round, and I feel like it's going to be the same thing again this year. The Red Raiders are going to get past Northern Kentucky this year. Texas Tech gets by Northern Kentucky, a potential Final Four team this year for Texas Tech. I'll take the Red Raiders to get past Northern Kentucky in the first round.
I think Texas Tech is one of the least talked about teams that has the greatest potential to go to the Final Four this year. I like Texas Tech to win this one easy.
Next up in the 7-10 matchup in the West region, number 7 seed Eric Musselman and his Nevada Wolfpack head into the tournament. Probably one of the best names in the tournament, as they head in to take on number 10 ranked Florida, who got in with a win over LSU in the SEC tournament last week. I'm going to take Nevada to get the win here. Nevada's had a very good season, and I feel like Eric Musselman will get his team ready to go tomorrow. I'll take the Wolfpack of Nevada to get by Florida in the West region.
I think the Gators have a little momentum coming into this game. winning a couple games in the SEC, beating LSU. Nevada lost in their tournament. I think Florida's going to pull off the upset here in a very, very close game.
Next up, number 2 ranked Michigan. John Beeline's got another good team this year. Last year's runners-up in the NCAA tournament last year. And they head in to take on the number 15 seeded Montana Grizzlies. I will take the Michigan Wolverines to move on after a heartbreaking loss last Sunday to Michigan State. I'll take Big Blue to get past Montana in the first round of the tournament.
I agree. I think Michigan's clearly one of the top 5 or 6 teams in this tournament. I think Michigan wins this game and they win it easily.
Next up, in the South region of your bracket, that will be the top left-hand side of your bracket. It will be the number 1 seed Virginia going in against the number 16 seed Gardner-Webb, who for the first time in school history. Welcome to the tournament, but it's not going to be a very long visit. I'll take UVA to pull off the win over Gardner-Webb. Virginia learned their lesson from last year. They're not going to lose in the 1-16 matchup. I'll take UVA to get past Gardner-Webb very easily.
I agree. I cannot see Virginia losing back-to-back years as number 1 seed. It's only happened once in the history of the tournament. I do not see Virginia repeating history. I think Virginia's going to win this one and win it convincingly.
Next up in the 8-9 matchup, it will be the number 8 seed Ole Miss Running Rebels coming out of the SEC, going against the number 9 seed Oklahoma Sooners coming out of the Big 12. I will take Ole Miss to pull it off. I feel like the Rebels are going to have a good season. They played very well in the SEC this year, so I'll take Ole Miss to stay in the tournament and beat Oklahoma in the first round of the tournament.
I'm picking this one based on conferences, and I think the SEC was better than the Big 12 this year. I like Ole Miss to beat Oklahoma in a close one.
Next up, number 5 seeded Wisconsin coming in to take on one of the hottest teams in the tournament. Number 12 seeded Oregon coming off a big win over Washington last Saturday night in the Pac-12 championship game. I'm going to take the red hot Oregon Ducks to stay hot here. I'm going to take the Ducks over the Badgers here. Oregon upsets Wisconsin and moves into the round of 32.
I agree with Scott here. This is a tough one to pick because Wisconsin historically has been a very good tournament team. They play a very slow tempo, but Oregon is the hot team coming in. I like Oregon to win this one in a very close game.
Next up, number 4 seeded Kansas State coming out of the Big 12. If they can get their best player back, I feel like this team can make a deep run in the tournament as they take on the number 13 seeded UC Irvine Anteaters. I will be taking Kansas State to get a win here. K-State's got a very good team this year. If, like I said, their best player comes back for the tournament, they should be in prime position to make a deep run in this tournament. I'll take K-State to pull it off over UC Irvine tomorrow or Friday.
I agree. K-State was the best team in the Big 12, probably besides Texas Tech throughout the year. I'm going to take Kansas State to win this one.
Next up, the reigning national champions are back in the tournament as number 6 seeded Villanova heads into the tournament to take on number 11 seed St. Mary's. I will take the Villanova Wildcats and Jay Wright. He had a great season last year, winning the national championship. Got a young team this year, but I feel like that young team will find a way to get a win in this tournament. I'll take Villanova to pull off the upset to get a win over St. Mary's and move on to the round of 32.
This is a tough game to call because St. Mary's has a lot of momentum coming in after knocking off Gonzaga, but I think that was their Super Bowl. They're now going to have a letdown, and I think Villanova is just too good. I think Villanova gets a win here.
Next up, number 3 seeded Purdue heading into the tournament as they take on number 14 seeded Old Dominion. I'll be taking the Purdue Boilermakers to move on to the second round here. Not a lot of problems here. I'll take Purdue to move on past Old Dominion.
I agree. Purdue wins easy.
Next up, number 7 seed Cincinnati after winning the American Athletic Conference Championship last Sunday. Thought they should have been a higher seed in the tournament as they head into the tournament to take on number 10 seeded Iowa. I will take the 7 seed Cincinnati to move on to the second round. Cincinnati's kind of a very good team this year. I feel like Cincinnati's going to find a way to get a win for the American here and move on to round 2 against Iowa.
Apologize to my 2 cousins who are Iowa fans, but I agree. I think Cincinnati's going to get this win. I think they're playing better than Iowa right now. I like Cincinnati to get the win in a close game.
Next up, number 2 seed Tennessee coming into the tournament after losing in the SEC Championship game last Sunday. As they head in to take on the number 15 seeded Colgate team. I'll take Tennessee to move on to the second round. Tennessee's had a very good season. I expect them to make a deep run in the tournament this year. I'll take the Volunteers to move on past Colgate in the first round.
Tennessee, one of the most athletic teams in the NCAA. I think Tennessee just physically dominates Colgate and gets the win here by double digits.
Next up into the final bracket, the Midwest region of your bracket. It'll be number 1 seed in North Carolina heading in to take on the number 16 seed Iona Gales. I will take Nasir Little and North Carolina to move on to the second round. We saw this kid play last year at Oviedo. Very impressive player. I'll take Nasir Little and North Carolina to move on to the second round past Iona and get another win for Roy Williams in the NCAA tournament.
I agree. UNC is just too good here. UNC moves on.
Next up, number 8 seed Utah State heading into the tournament here on number 9 Washington. I will take Utah State. I feel like Utah State had a good season, so I'll take Utah State to move on past Washington in the NCAA tournament.
I don't know a lot about either one of these teams. I'm going to go with the team from the bigger conference. I'm going to take Washington over Utah State in a minor upset.
Next up in the 5-12 matchup, Bruce Pearl and his SEC champion Auburn Tigers head into the tournament, take on the number 12 seed New Mexico Lobos. The New Mexico State team, I will take Auburn to move on. Bruce Pearl's got a good team this year. I will take Auburn to move past New Mexico State this week. Either tomorrow or Friday, not sure what time that game is. I'll take Auburn to move on to the next round, though.
New Mexico State is my sleeper pick in this year's NCAA pool. I think New Mexico State pulls off the upset. They are the only team in the tournament where all 12 of their scholarship players all average double-digit minutes. They're a very deep team. They come at you in waves. They're very efficient offensively. New Mexico State gets the upset.
Next up, number 4 seeded Kansas heading into the tournament to take on number 13 seed Northeastern. It's weird to see the Jayhawks as a 4 seed. We usually see them in one of the top 3 seeds, but they just have too many injuries this year to stay alive in the Big 12. But I feel like they'll get a win for Bill Self here. I will take Kansas to move on to the second round past Northeastern tomorrow or Friday.
I agree. This is not as good a Kansas team as Bill Self has brought to the tournament in the past, but I still think Kansas gets the win.
Next up, number 6 seed Iowa State heading into the tournament. Take on number 11 seed Ohio State. Should be a great game here. But I'll take the Cyclones to move on to round 2. The Cyclones had a good year out of the Big 12. I'll take Iowa State to move on to the second round past Ohio State.
Iowa State's actually a team Scott and I saw in person at Texas. They looked terrible that day, but since then they played much better. I'm going to pick Iowa State to win this ball game. If they were playing the Pittsburgh Steelers for Terry Jewell, I would pick the Steelers, but since they're not, I'm taking Iowa State.
Next up, number 3 seed Houston coming in. Kelvin Sampson's got another strong team this year. A team I do not expect to be as good as they were this year after losing to man bun last year, Rob Gray. But I feel like this is a very good team this year as they head in to take on the number 14 seeded Georgia State team. I'll take Houston to move on to round 2. Houston's got a very good team this year. A lot of seniors on this team. I'll take the Cougs to move on to round 2 and get past Georgia State.
I agree. Houston, very experienced team, very consistent team. I think they're going to win this one.
Next up, number 7 seeded Wofford heading into the tournament. Had a good season coming out of the, not really sure what conference they're coming out of as they head in to take on
Not sure anybody knows
a Big East team by the name of Seton Hall. And I will take the 7 seed Wofford to move on. Wofford's one of these teams I could see possibly making the Elite 8 this year. I will take Wofford to move on to round 2 past Seton Hall.
Since I don't even know what conference Wofford's from, I'm going to take Seton Hall in this one. I think it'll be a close game, but I like Seton Hall in a close contested round. Next
up, the number 2 seeded Kentucky Wildcats heading into the tournament. Take on number 15 seeded Abilene Christian. I will take Terry Jewell's Kentucky Wildcats to move on to the second round here. Shouldn't be any problems here for John Calipari. I will take Kentucky to move on to the round of 32 past Abilene Christian tomorrow.
For my boy Terry Jewell, and because Kentucky's better, I'm going to pick the Kentucky Wildcats as well.
Back to the top half of your bracket, over to the East region for round 2. 1 seeded Duke heading into taking on number 9 seed UCF. This is where we stop the run for UCF. I will take Duke to move on to the next round. The Blue Devils have too much. Cam Reddish, Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, too much to handle for UCF here. I'll take Duke to get past UCF.
As much as I want to pick UCF, and my heart says yes, my mind says no. I got to take Duke in this game.
Next up, number 4 seed Virginia Tech heading into the tournament to take on number 12 Liberty, who I had pulling off the 5-12 upset last week. In the first round, I'll take the Hokies to move on. I feel like Buzz Williams has a very good team this year. I'll take the Hokies to move on past Liberty in the second round.
I agree. I've got Virginia Tech playing Mississippi State in this game, but I still think Virginia Tech is a better team and they will win this one.
Next up, number 11 seeded Belmont heading in take on number 3 seed LSU. Another upset. We always see one double-digit seed making to the Sweet 16. I feel like that is Belmont this year. Will Wade is still not there for LSU. So without a head coach, I just don't know how far they can make it this year without their head coach. So I will take Belmont to upset LSU in the round of 32, move on to the Sweet 16 as an 11 seed.
There are a lot of teams I would pick Belmont against. LSU's not one of them. I think LSU is just too physical. They've got too much size. I think, unfortunately, Belmont's Cinderella run ends here and LSU moves on.
Next up, number 10 seed in Minnesota heading in, taking on number 2 seed Michigan State. I will take Tom Izzo and Michigan State, a very upset Michigan State team, as they get a win over Minnesota.
I've got Louisville playing Michigan State, but it doesn't matter. Michigan State's a better team. Michigan State moves on to the Sweet 16.
Next up, number 1 seed Syracuse. Number 1 seed Gonzaga taking on number 8 Syracuse. I will take Gonzaga to move on around to the Sweet 16. Gonzaga's got another good team this year. I'll take the Zags to move on to round 2, past round 3 in the Sweet 16, and the second weekend to get past Syracuse.
Every top seed, when they look at their brackets, the team they don't want to face is Syracuse because of that 2-3 zone. Syracuse, one of the few teams that beat Duke this year. I'm going to pick Syracuse in the upset. I think Gonzaga's overseeded. I think Gonzaga goes home here and Syracuse goes on.
Next up, number 12 seed in Murray State, in my opinion, will take on number 4 seed Florida State. As much as I'd love to take John Morant and put him into the Sweet 16, I just don't think he's going to do it here. Florida State gets it done. I feel like they got a good team. They were in the Elite 8 team last year, I believe. So I'll take Florida State to move into the Sweet 16 for the second straight year. Florida State gets past Murray State.
I've got Florida State versus Marquette, but it doesn't matter. I think Florida State is just too athletic for Marquette. They win in a close one, but I think Florida State moves on.
Next up, number 6 seed Buffalo heading in to take on number 3 seed Texas Tech. I'll take the Red Raiders and that red-hot Raider defense to get past the Buffalo Bulls here. I will take Texas Tech to move on to the Sweet 16 and the second weekend.
I agree. As I said before, I think Texas Tech is one of the most underrated teams in this tournament. I think Texas Tech gets the win, and they get it pretty easily.
Next up, Eric Musselman and his Nevada Wolfpack head into the second round to take on John Beilein and his number 2 seed Michigan. I'll take the Wolverines to move into round 2. Michigan's just got too much this year. I'll take Michigan to continue their road back to the Final Four. I'll take the Wolverines to get a win over Nevada.
I've got the Gators playing Michigan here in the second round, but it doesn't matter. I think Michigan is just too good, too consistent. I think they'll beat the Florida Gators.
Next up, number 1 versus number 8 in the East bracket. I will take Virginia to move on. I feel like UVA's got a good team this year. They learned their lesson from last year. I'll take Virginia to get past Ole Miss on Saturday and Sunday.
I think in a very close game, Virginia gets the win, probably by less than 5 over Ole Miss, but Virginia does move on.
Next up, number 4 seed Kansas State taking on number 12 Oregon. I'm going to take another upset here. Oregon is going to upset number 4 Kansas State. I feel like Oregon's got a good team this year. They're coming off a big, coming in red hot. I'm going to keep it going. Some of the hottest teams in the tournament always do well. I'll take the Ducks to get past K-State without their best player. I'll take Oregon to get past Kansas State.
You been looking at my bracket?
I have not.
All right, because I got the same upset. I got Oregon moving on in this one. I think they will continue the upset train going, and they will beat K-State.
Next up, number 6 seed Villanova heading in, taking on number 3 seed Purdue, coming out of the Big Ten. I'll take Purdue to get past Villanova. Jay Wright and his crew are going to go home early this year. Last year they won the national championship. I hope they get there this year. Purdue gets the win over Villanova.
I agree. I think Villanova is just too young. I think Purdue's got the more experienced team. I think Purdue gets a very close win, but they move on.
Next up, number 7 seed Cincinnati heading in to take on number 2 seed Tennessee. I'll take the Vols to move on to the second weekend in the Sweet 16. I feel like the Vols have a good team this year. I'll take the Volunteers to move on to round 2 and get past Cincinnati.
If you want to see athleticism on both sides of the ball in this game, I think you're going to enjoy this game, but I do like Tennessee to move on.
Next up, number 1 seed North Carolina taking on number 8 seed Utah State. I will take North Carolina to move on to round 3. Shouldn't be any problems here for Roy Williams. I will take Nasir Little and North Carolina to move on to round 3 and get a win over Utah State.
I agree. UNC moves on.
Next up, number 5 seed Auburn heading in to take on number 4 seed Kansas. I will take the number 5 seed Auburn Tigers to move on to round 2. Not a great year for Bill Self in Kansas. A lot of injuries, a lot of suspensions. I will take Auburn to move on and get past Kansas in round 2.
In my upset special, I've got number 12 New Mexico State beating Kansas in this round and being one of the double-digit seeds that moves on to the Sweet 16.
Next up, number 3 seed Houston taking on number 6 seed Iowa State. I will take Houston to get past the game. Corey Davis is going to have a good season. Corey Davis, probably one of the best players in the American Athletic Conference this year. I'll take Corey Davis and Houston to get past Iowa State in a very good matchup. But give me Houston to get past Iowa State.
Iowa State's been very inconsistent. Houston's been very consistent. I like Houston to win this one and move on.
Final matchup of the day is number 7 Wofford goes against number 2 ranked Kentucky. I will take, for my buddy Taylor Jewell, I will take Kentucky to move on to the Sweet 16. They're actually one of my Final Four teams this year, so I'll take Kentucky to get past Wofford in round 2.
I've got Kentucky going against Seton Hall here, but it doesn't matter. Kentucky, Terry Jewell's team is going to move on to the Sweet 16.
And that will do it for this episode of Scott's Wing Sports Today, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back with my Sweet 16 predictions tomorrow. Next Friday, I'll probably be back with my Sweet 16 predictions because I feel like they're all going to be Saturday games next week. Saturday and Sunday games next week. Until then, always like, subscribe, comment, and share these videos with your friends. And go Knights, charge on, march on to the next round of the NCAA tournament. And we'll see you guys right back here next week on Scott's Wing Sports. See you guys.
See you guys.